All right, so how's everybody doing here?
Good,
Great.
good. This is
Hey,
for
fantastic.
a card, right, Scott?
Yeah, so the idea is that there's gonna be like 50 cards or so that I'm producing for this charity event thing, and each one is gonna have a QR code, and it'll bring you to an exclusive video. So this will give them a lot of bang for their buck, where they're gonna be really terrified and never scan any card ever again.
Are the cards going to be they're going to be numbered like 1 through 50?
Or technically 57, but the other six are little bonuses. So
Have we figured out what number we're going to be?
no, not at all yet. I mean,
Mm,
if it's going by like how much I have completed now, maybe 13. So
13.
we're good.
Wait,
That's
how
a good
we
lucky
Yeah.
number.
I would say how we feel, but what
Yeah.
do we need to reserve a number?
No.
Do we have a number in mind?
Do you want a number?
Hmm. I don't know.
42. It's the
Do we
best
figure
number.
out we want to be closer to the front though, right? You want to be buried at the bottom.
Not really. There's no real value to either of the number to any of the numbers. It's kind of being assigned randomly, pretty much as it
Uh,
gets done. But
hmm,
anyways,
okay.
I can go one by one here. It feels like a bit of a power trip here because it feels like I'm hosting the Spawncast
Yeah,
this
do it,
time.
man.
Yeah, all right. So, welcome to the Spawncast, a non-canon special episode. We have John, the general host of the Spawncast. How are we doing today,
Good,
John?
good. It is nice to be here in basically what amounts to a Dragon Ball Z movie. Also,
Yeah,
nowhere
exactly.
near the timeline. Go ahead.
I have I might as well bring back an old favorite. Since you guys don't do this anymore, what are you playing? What have you been playing this week?
Mate, what have I been
Uh,
playing? What, Max, you go
Yeah.
ahead. You go ahead, Max. You were ready to
I,
go immediately.
Uh
I,
Max
I
was
was
ready.
I was addicted to Splatoon until I quit because I'm salty. I've been whipping all this ass. I started to play it ranked. These Japanese kids just beat me all day long, and that made me so mad. I think I'm gonna quit the game.
I'm playing Diofield Chronicle, and
Ooh.
I know
I don't know. I don't even know what that those
Max,
words
you
were.
played it, and Sean, you played it, and I know
Yeah, I
OJ's
haven't
playing it
finished
right
yet,
now.
though.
But I'm like I'm almost at the end of chapter 2 right now, so
Oh.
I'm getting through it. I'm doing all the side missions and everything. It is a more action. I would say it's more. It's a Final Fantasy Tactics where they tried to modernize the combat and to make it a little more actiony, like an RTS. But I don't. I will say, Sean, you mentioned to me that the story isn't very good. I forgot. I at this point I don't even care what's going on in the game. The gameplay is fun enough for me to go through and enjoy it. And then I was also playing Yakuza Like a Dragon because I just wanted to go back to it. That is such a good turn-based RPG. You know what, Scott? That is good enough to, I think, be able to pull you into that genre slightly.
I tried it. I tried it for like
Really?
10 minutes. This was
Oh,
this was during my busy time of year, so I tried it for about 10 minutes. I enjoyed what I played,
that's
but there's only so much of a game you can enjoy for 10
yeah.
minutes.
It's the reverse of what
Uh,
I'm experiencing in Diofield, where the story in Yakuza Like a Dragon is so weird, off the wall, and interesting that it pulls you through what's really a basic turn-based JRPG. But it's fun. I don't know. I still like it. I've already gone through it. I'm just playing some more of the side missions and stuff because it's just that world's fun. It's interesting.
I have just a question. Have you played the PS3 game Yakuza like Dead Souls? Have you
No,
played that one?
no, I have
I
not played
have,
that.
yeah. That's
I've
the zombie one, right?
What?
Yeah, I just got that one. I want to play it
It's a
'cause
zombie one?
yeah, it's
It's
like a
crazy.
spin-off. It's like a
It's
weird
the
little spin-off.
it's a Dragon
Oh,
Ball Z
weird.
movie. They
Oh,
never
there you
talk
go.
about the zombie apocalypse.
Apparently, that's an original character, or they just used like character they already had in the
No,
in the
main
series.
characters. It's
Wow.
all the
Ah,
characters.
weird.
It's just literally a zombie apocalypse with all the main characters, and they just
Oh,
deal
that's
with
strange. Okay, okay. Oh,
I think
weird.
it was weird because that was when they were a little more picky with like what Yakuza games they would localize, and they put that one out as a physical release too, which was just kind of like, oh, okay. Because like I think like four and five. Nah, did four come out physically?
it.
I
No,
think five didn't
It's in like the
either.
Yakuza
No.
collection, isn't it? Where it's like a code that you have to put in and download,
Yeah.
right?
And then
Yeah.
I think the
they send you an
collection
empty
was still
box.
technically physical, like at
Oh,
least for
yeah.
the PS4, right?
Yeah, I have to look to see what came in that. I know it was like a big box set you got, so I'd have to
Mhm.
look at it to double
Well,
check.
anyways, we also have Max Dreamcast guy. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm gonna hold this axe up because this will be after Halloween. Look at this Leviathan axe, baby.
Do you think you could potentially put that up in like in your place or something? Could you maybe like put that over like some kind of
I
mantle?
I know. Yeah, put this in the living room. If people show up, I'll
Yeah.
just be like, yeah,
Is
remember,
that thing
I
heavy?
used to be
It's got some
an
weight to
even
it.
bigger weeb. I don't know. It feels like it's about 15
Okay,
pounds.
okay. Yeah, not bad.
Could you
Or-
could you could you do damage with that if you
Yeah,
really tried to?
It actually feels sharp. It has an axe protector. Look at this tiny detail. I think it's cool. It's got a little triangle on it. Look at that triangle and square like you use it in combat.
That's pretty impressive.
Extra
That is
weeby.
pretty impressive. We also have Sean RGT85. How are you doing today?
I'm good. The axe kind of reminds me when you said put it over a mantle. Me and my buddy had a place together, and he had a Master Sword replica.
Yeah.
And we used to have it above our fireplace, and we lived in a townhouse, and some new people were moving in to the right of us, and they were like out on the back porch. I was like, give me the sword. He's like, why? I was like, give me the sword. So I went out there, and I was smoking a cigarette, and I'm just like standing in the backyard, just like twirling the sword and like pointing it at him and stuff. Like, there's a picture. I got a picture of it somewhere. It's a very funny thing. I just wanted to be like, yo, make sure y'all ain't robbers or something.
How do you go about like getting like a sword? Like would you say it was like actually like hardy enough to be like an actual like sword that you could do damage with? Or was it more of just like a little prop replica kind of thing?
I mean, I don't think I could like stab someone and like, go through them, but I feel like if I hit him in the head with it, like it would knock him a little bit loopy.
Dude,
like it has some weight to it.
Some of those swords at the conventions are like legit. There's like a Master Sword. Is it too many games? I think 'cause they had a whole table of them. One of them had some weight to it. I don't know if it's sharp enough to just cut through flesh completely, but yeah, I think Shaw's right. I think you could maybe knock someone unconscious, hit him with the blunt side of it or something.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the vibe I was going for. Like, hey, we got weapons here, and like those are just the weapons that you could see. There was other weapons in the house, of course.
Well, we also have OJ PlayerEssence. How are you doing today? How have you been this week?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Can't complain. Finally beat Xenoblade Chronicles 3 after 200 hours and the hard mode, and very confusing but very satisfying ending, especially if you've played Xenoblade 1, 2, and all the other ones. Well, just mainly 1 and 2. X, you don't need to play.
How do you make enough time to do like 200 hours overall, or just 200 hours for like this run of like a difficulty run?
200 hours overall. So I've been playing it since launch. So it's taking me that long. I'll put in a few hours here, a few hours there. Sometimes Sundays I'll play more when I have
Switch
time.
Coming in clutch, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of times when I was dropping my my wife off at school, and sometimes like when I went to go pick her up, she'd take forever to come back out because she's doing nursing school. So I'd be playing like 30 minutes in the car, or I'd be getting an extra hour in before bed or whatever the case is. So I was able to get it all done, and yeah, it's very very good. The ending is very satisfying, and I'm happy, but I got to go back in because there's more to do. New game plus, there's more, so I got to tackle that. But yeah, I'm working on a review for it, so that should be done at some point.
Yeah, awesome. How long do like your reviews usually take? Like how did you just start it, or do you start it like when you like kind of start playing the game? Do you kind of write down your thoughts, or like how does that process go for you?
For me with the game, because like I don't do many big reviews, but usually when I do a review, it's when I'm done with the game, when I'm like Triangle Strategy. I played 100 hours, I did my review afterwards. So I just kind of gather all my thoughts. I mean, I've been playing RPGs for so long, I don't necessarily need to write things down over and over. I just remember the key moments because it's repetition. You're constantly doing the same thing over and over in RPG games. So it's not like I have to write down this or that. And I also don't want to spoil the game for people. So there's no need for me to go in there and grab like spoiler footage. I just want to really talk about the core elements of why I think the game is good, particularly with RPGs. I don't really review anything outside of that, with a couple exceptions. So I just kind of, after I'm done, I'll go through and I'll look at all the key points of what makes the game amazing, what I don't necessarily like, and I'll give people a score if they want to score. But I say, hey, look, it's either recommended or not, but I'll give people a score if they want to score for it. So.
Yeah, for sure. I do see like a lot of reviewers, they just end up giving up on the score whole system. Like they have to make this whole spiel about it, where it's just like I'm done. I'm done.
I hate
never doing scores ever again.
I'm not the biggest fan of scores, but people really want to have them. People really want. I mean, Max, I know you deal with this a lot with scores and people acting all crazy with scores. So for me, I just say, hey, look, man, if I'm going to give it a score, here it is. But to be honest, the game's really good. Buy it or not, whatever,
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I think the problem with scores is that people always compare it to like a previous score that you did. So you have to kind of keep that in your head in terms of like what am I going to give this game? But, how does that compare to what I gave to like, whatever, Remember Me on the Xbox 360 or whatever, just random. Yeah.
They'll take scores from games. they'll take a score from like an RPG I reviewed like 5 years ago, and then put it next to a completely different genre, like a sports game or something, and put them next to each other. These are both 8s. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Are they? You did this, not me.
Famitsu gave Sonic Forces a 35 out of 40, and it comes up all the time whenever they review anything. Because if it gets lower than Sonic Forces, everyone points it out.
Also, like, what was it?
Anything's possible.
Final Fantasy 13. They gave that game like nearly a perfect, either a perfect score or nearly a perfect score.
Hey, it just takes 25 hours to get into it. Okay.
Final Fantasy 13. Even after 25 hours, that game isn't good. That game isn't very good. Even after 20. I mean, it's okay, but it's not a perfect score. I don't think.
No, it's not a perfect score.
But,
no, it's like chapter 13. Now the game opens up. It's like it's been like 20 some odd hours. So yeah.
Well, before we move on, we have one last guest here. We have Jordan Fringe.
Oh, he remembered
Jordan,
you,
how are you?
Look at that.
How are you doing? Listen, I just go on my tangents, and like when I'm talking, I'm like, I have business to do here. I still have to introduce Jordan. Jordan, how are you doing? How's your week been? What are you up to?
I'm good. It's been a busy week. I'm doing a lot. Currently, as we're recording this, I've just launched a secondary channel that focuses on looking back at like nostalgic games like I do with cartoons. So it's been a busy week leading into the holiday season here. So just a lot of being at this computer, but glad to be here. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, I've been feeling the same way. I pretty much spent all my days, pretty much my entire work area is in my basement. So I've been spending pretty much most of my time in my basement, and it does kind of screw you up. It does kind of get a little.
See, I
muddy
like
down
that
here.
though, because I used to, my old place, like, it was just like it was a 2-bedroom little condo, and my desk was in my living room. So like I would be like, and like it was a desk and then a green screen and then a wall and then a partition wall that sort of made it like a little cubicle. Like I would just be sitting on the couch, like watching TV, and like out of the corner of my eye, I'd see my work area and be like, ugh. But see, like now everything I have is in the basement, so it's like I just go upstairs and close the door. It's like good. I don't have to think about it.
In a weird way,
I do
like
agree. I do agree. It's just when you spend all your time down here, that's when it gets kind of when it gets kind of lame. But yeah, for sure. Max, what's your work setup like? You were saying.
I'm a weirdo in that now I've been sleeping in the office basically. I set a bed up in here and I kind of like it, but I have the weird thing where all of my game consoles are hooked through the capture card. So anytime I'm playing anything, sometimes I'm like, I should be recording this. Like, so I'll just be literally playing like a random indie game or Tunic or whatever. And every time I was like, I should get a little background footage. And I think I have that toxic trait where I'm playing and beating him and platinuming games all the time. I platinumed Diafield because I liked it so much, and then I'm like,
Platinum was is easy in that one, right? Because I'm playing through it now, and I'm at like 20 some odd % of the trophies. I'm like, already?
Yeah. The hardest one. So start saving up your sword. Save up one thing. You have to get 25 different of a singular weapon, which is surprisingly difficult because the weapons get so expensive. It's basically like hold $5 million in cash.
Okay.
But other than that, it was easy.
Okay. Cool.
Right. Yeah, it's well, I mean, what's everybody else's like? Kind of like what's your day-to-day like? What are you guys? What's on your schedule? How do you guys get what you need to get done?
It's on my schedule right now. Is asking Sean how he got banned out of the NASA live stream.
They deserved it.
Okay.
Do they?
This guy.
I said what everyone was thinking.
No, you don't.
I've never thought about that in my life.
I love.
Well,
NASA,
you should.
bitch.
Why? They're astronauts,
So
right?
they crashed something into an asteroid.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. First off, I don't even necessarily. Okay, so they crashed this into the asteroid. Why didn't no one saw it in the sky? You saw no remnants of it in the sky. None whatsoever. All you got was this grainy ass footage that looked like it was from a 1993 MS-DOS game, CGI cutscene. And I was like, oh, get closer. Get closer.
I love when Sean rants about something he has no idea what he's talking about.
So Sean, here's what's
Valid
interesting.
question.
It was going 147,000 miles per hour. So even though the camera was capturing like 1,000 frames a second, going so fast is why it's this slideshow of it just crashing into it. I don't know. I think it's awesome as hell.
It's not like right there. This was like further out.
Millions of miles away.
It's not like, oh, we could see it in the sky. Pull out a telescope, we could see it. Like it doesn't work like that.
So why do you even
they
believe
reenacted Armageddon.
They didn't have Aerosmith.
Yeah, they figured out a way where
you
we
can
don't
play
need to
that at
send
home
Bruce
while it's
Willis into
happening.
space.
I could play Revolution X.
So they did also film it from the side. They released that footage, but the problem is that in order to even launch the two things, they launched all this stuff so long ago that it technically even that was like 100 miles away. So you see it as like a blip, but you see the artificial blip crash into the asteroid.
You're in the live stream just saying defund NASA over and over again.
$19 billion. You got. I could think of a lot of other issues that should be tackled instead of giving $19 billion of tax money to NASA. That's all I'm saying.
We give them 19 billion more.
I mean, you like your cell phones and your Discord
Yeah,
calls
not really.
and your webcams and your microphones.
That's not from outer space. That's from China. I didn't say defund China.
No. NASA's technology is ended up using in consumer use. The technology, microchips, their advancements all come down.
Microchips was Mark of the Beast.
These TVs and stuff.
Sean didn't know this before he
All
said
the R&D has accelerated our growth in technology over the last 50 years.
Yeah,
It's
and
incredible.
You know what? We've gotten far enough. I think
Have
we're
we?
good with technology.
I still have to
What else
download
do you
stuff.
need? What else do you need? I'm
Like
sorry.
perfect one-to-one cloud streaming, so I don't have to download anything.
Sean's such a hypocrite. He'll make 80 videos about the Switch too, but if they're talking about we're R&Ding it, it's like, no, I don't want any research and development.
Yeah, you
We
like
have enough
because
technology.
the Switch 2 is a privately owned subsidy of Nintendo, whereas this is
Yeah,
not.
but they go to Nvidia for their
Wait,
chips.
Switch isn't privately, like, Nintendo's not privately owned, they're public.
He doesn't
Yeah,
know what the
but I
fuck
mean-
he's talking about.
You have
It's
stock
not
in them,
tax
Sean.
money. It's not tax money.
They get subsidiaries.
Sean,
and
we have
stuff.
to legit figure out how much it costs for you to have a seat at that investor table. Because that one
No,
person
I know how much it costs.
that one person
It's
spent
40
40
grand.
grand and was able to
Yeah,
ask
40
them.
40 grand. Let's go.
He might have
You
sold
go
the
for it,
stock
Sean.
before he even got out of that room, Sean.
I threw like $100 at. I threw $100 at Nintendo through the Robinhood app when I had no idea what investing was.
Yeah, well, I did it.
didn't get
I
any invite.
have 6.5 shares, and
Wow.
I don't
Okay.
look at. I don't look at it.
Okay.
Did you
anymore.
frame it? Did you frame them?
No, 'cause I don't
Can't you
send
request
you.
like a can you can still buy like a certificate stock, can't you? Where they have to send it to you? I feel like you can still do that. You can get paper stock.
I don't know what any of that means, but yes, probably.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure you can still do that.
I mean, like, how much? I think you have to spend like how much did that person spend to ask about F-Zero?
It's like 40 grand.
40 grand.
Yeah.
It's
Do
40
you
grand.
think they could have just asked like they could have spent like 30, or is it just like is 40 the cap off where it's just like they don't allow questions from anybody under
Certain
40?
percentage.
He could have
It's gotta
funded
be
his
that.
own F-Zero with 40 grand. I mean, you don't need that much.
I'm curious, like how well that video would do if you said I spent 40 grand to ask Nintendo a question.
You
Probably
might
would've
make
done
your
really
40
well.
grand back.
Film your trip there and everything. Oh, that might be good, Sean. There you go. Go. You, do
but-
that. You show up there in like your beanie and everything, and sit down and ask him about. Actually, what game would you ask him about, Sean?
You're like Konnichiwa.
I don't know. I'm looking up what NASA has done for humanity. I'm not impressed.
What a dumb bitch.
you're
not
looking up
impressed.
NASA?
Dude, that
Not
Critical
impressed.
insights into bone health that led to improved osteoporosis. Take your damn vitamins and shut your damn mouth.
well, you know how we know to take your damn vitamins? NASA.
Well, whoever gets this lucky card to watch this video
Yeah.
sure is watching the cancellation of Sean.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
anti-icing formula is now used to prevent train delays. These are the top things that they're saying.
What?
I'm
Don't
sorry,
you-
Sean,
trains
Sean,
get
what have you
delayed all the
done?
time.
Sean?
They get delayed all the time.
Well,
What have you done?
I've done nothing but provide entertainment to the world.
You wrote a book once.
Entertainment.
I wrote a book.
I have your book over here somewhere. I like thumbing through it every now and then.
It's a hell of a
Where
book,
is it?
man.
It's
I
not a bad
it.
book.
Don't worry.
Good book.
That's pretty good. Sean, how long did it take you to write that book? Like, what was the process of that?
This is a 100% true story. I was laying on the couch one day. I was kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna write a book. And I was like, all right, what am I gonna write a book on? I was like, well, I have almost all the 32X games. Why don't I do a book on that? So that day, I came up with a horrible, disgusting template, and I sent it over to my friend Jason. And I was like, look, I'm writing a book. He was like, this looks like a second grader made it. And I was like, well, it's a work in progress. And he was like, well, strangely enough, this dude knew had like bookmaking software. I don't think he'd ever used it before, but he had software for it. And he was like, look, you just write everything. You tell me what you want to put in it, and then I will format it and just give me some money and we'll work from there. I was like, all right, cool. So I just spent like a couple weeks just playing through all the games, and I knew most of the games on this. There's only 40 some odd games, and plus the 32x CD games, which I mean it's just better CD CGI and stuff like that, and video. That's the word I'm looking for. FMV, full motion video. And so then once I got all the reviews out of the way, kind of had to pad it to add stuff to it. So I did like interviews with people. The Al Nielsen interview was my favorite because he was the VP of marketing for Sega Sega of America leading up to the release of the 32X, which he was not a fan of the system. And so I shot him a message. I was like, hey, dude, I'm writing a book on the 32X. Would it be cool if like we did an interview or something? And it was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, what's your number? So I gave him my number, thinking that he was going to call me just to like tell me what to ask and maybe what not to ask and stuff like that. So he calls me one day, and I pick up the phone, and he's like, hey, this is Al Nielsen. How you doing? I was like, oh, I'm good. And I guess like in the world of like interviews, like you're supposed to like record stuff, and this dude just starts going into a spiel, and like 40 seconds into a spiel, I'm like, holy shit, this dude is giving his interview right. He's giving me his statement right now, and I'm not doing anything. So I started coughing into the phone to sort of slow him down a little bit, and I ran and I grabbed my laptop, and he's like, you okay? I was like, yeah, hold on, I got a little bit of a staticky connection. So I had to literally type everything as he's saying it. Whenever I'd get behind, I would just start coughing again to sort of slow him down. And so that was fun. But I would say the whole process, I mean, I'll be real. I used an emulator for the pictures of the games. Like,
you shouldn't admit that on. Oh, don't admit that on camera.
Yeah, is this an exclusive? Is
yeah,
this
it's
an
exclusive.
exclusive?
No. I mean, okay, what am I gonna do? Get a set up a CRT for 2 pictures of each game? Like, no, it's easier to use an emulator to get the images.
Now he does. That didn't exist then, did it?
No, not. Well, I mean, you had the RetroTink 2X, but not the 5X.
Yeah, the 2X is good.
But you own all of, or most of the games, right?
Yeah.
I own all the games.
Oh, yeah,
right
fine
here.
then. You can admit to the emulator.
Yeah, legally, emulators are legal. Yeah.
Do you think Sega cares about 32X stuff?
Maybe.
But I would say
I
the
don't know.
whole
They're suing private
process.
server people, maybe.
Well, they're not in the. They didn't do any of them in the Sega Genesis Mini 2. I think that was just like
That was really weird. Yeah,
Well,
we did get some
yeah,
CD games.
Well, what's next, Sean? What wins you the Pulitzer Prize? What are you up to after this?
This is it. This is
Oh,
my
really? I
magnum
thought you'd take a
legacy.
swing at the Virtual Boy.
Somebody did it right as I was planning it. Jeffrey Wittenhagen did it, and then I thought about maybe the Game Gear. The Saturn would be cool, but the Saturn, there's so much Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
that it would-
Yeah.
it's
would
like
just be-
over 1,000 games.
Yeah,
Like,
if it was just North
overall, yeah.
American, like you could probably do it. But once you get into the Japanese market, it's
Wait.
crazy.
Did you say the Saturn has over 1,000 games?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dang, that's like what 600 to 700 more games than the N64. God dang, man.
Well, it was
yeah.
mostly Japan.
What is
I'm
this,
just saying,
is this
no,
gonna...
it's a lot more than the N64. That's
Well,
all I'm saying. That's all I'm
to be
saying.
fair-
I mean, are
to be
we
fair-
doing Sega Saturn versus N64 here? Or...
Well, to be fair, the
What's
Sega
going
Saturn-
here?
The Sega Saturn outsold the N64 in Japan.
No way. No
Yeah,
way.
no, it did. It did.
Damn.
Jesus.
Sega,
Let's team up. There's only
like.
there's 264 American Dreamcast games. Let's team up and do.
Well, what was
Dreamcast
worse? What was worse, the N64 box or the Sega Saturn case?
Oh, it's Sega Saturn case.
No
I'd
way.
say Sega Saturn case. That
Hey,
thing,
I
that
will
thing
give you
feel like
Sega-
it's gonna fall apart if I just blow on it.
Sega CD cases are worse than Sega Saturn cases. I don't have any issues. I have maybe 1 or 2 Sega Saturn games. I have a cracked case. Sega CD, like half of them. I'm looking. Jurassic Park is cracked. Rise of the Dragon is cracked. Terminator.
I see them cracked all the time. Yeah, the Sega CD
don't know
ones
what
were
it is.
annoying, but I mean, just in general, those hard clear plastic. It probably made sense then, dude. They are always broken now. I just constantly see
Well,
them.
I mean, Japan.
No,
Japan
like the
just had
European
CD cases.
cases are even worse from what I've
Well,
heard.
Wasn't the rumor? I thought one of the rumors I heard was that they wanted to make those really big cases, and they ended up being brittle in
I like
America
those.
because they wanted to be bigger than VHS cases or something. That's what I heard. They wanted to be on the entertainment shelf. It would appear to be a bigger, more important product.
Sega
Very
CD
dumb.
cases. I mean, Sega Saturn cases in Japan were just CDs.
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter, Super Bomberman, Bio.
Yeah, I like those. I like those cases a lot more. Yeah.
I mean, that makes
I
sense.
recently got the first Resident Evil on Sega Saturn. That's like one of those. I really like getting like the really weird ass Sega Saturn games that you don't really associate with being Sega Saturn games. You
I
have
love
like
that game.
Resident Evil, you have Tomb Raider and Rayman and all that
mhm.
junk. Where
I got
it's
all
just
those,
like,
yeah.
ugh,
I
it just
actually
looks weird there.
I like the graphics. I actually like the graphics better on the. It's a little scratch on the Sega Saturn version. I think the characters look chunkier, and I
Yeah.
like that for some
Chunkier.
reason.
Isn't there something that exists in the Sega Saturn version of Resident Evil that doesn't exist in the other versions, where you could beat the game and there was like a hard mode where a gold tyrant would show up? I never
Yes.
unlocked it myself, but I've heard
Yeah, there
that.
is.
I think in
There
like
is.
Mega Man 8, there was an exclusive thing too, right? Or
Mhm.
there was some exclusive stuff in
Well, I
Mega Man 8. Yeah, the Saturn got a couple of
Yeah,
like
8 was better on the Saturn anyway because the 2D was better on the Saturn.
Mm.
Well, that brings up a question. What do you guys think is like the best generation of gaming overall? Like first, second, third, fourth,
PS2,
fifth, sixth?
GameCube, Xbox.
Hot take, 8th generation. That generation we just are finishing out
Damn.
now. The
Really?
reason I say that is because I do think the rise of the indie was so interesting. The fact that like random
okay.
people could make big genre pushing games, the rise of stuff like roguelikes, seeing all these weird experimental VR games that are more than just gimmicks. I don't know. I thought 8th generation felt, maybe it's because I was reviewing games, so I was playing more than ever, but man, it felt good.
Fifth.
Generation kind of felt like ass at times because Xbox really, that was Xbox One, right?
Mhm.
So Xbox was kind of, I didn't really see a lot. Like, where was the Fable? Where was the kind of the stuff from them? Nintendo, I mean, they had some good games with the Wii U, but obviously that wasn't quite, everything because a lot of their games on the 3DS.
Yep.
He just
Oh,
died. Oh
that's
no.
exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, really?
Shadow Realm.
Wow.
He's just gone.
I can't believe he said that on camera. Okay,
Well, yeah.
you, Sean,
He
you
got
said
auto
fifth.
canceled.
You said
I
said
think fifth. I think fifth.
Really?
What?
I mean,
Wait, hold on.
PS1
That's
and
Saturn,
64.
PS1,
All right.
64.
PS1 and
Oh,
64.
continue
Oh,
on,
he's
Jay.
kind of back.
I'm out of nowhere. Discord
There he
started
is.
just.
He's back.
I'm back. I don't know what the hell happened anyway. But yeah, I agree. Like, 8th generation was cool. I always felt like the Super Nintendo, that was Gen 4?
4.
Yep.
Gen 4. I always felt Gen 4 was dope with, Sega and Super Nintendo, and like the games that came out in that generation were lit. But I also agree with John too about the 6th generation was dope as well.
I like
I really
the,
enjoyed this. Yeah, I really
I
enjoyed the
like
6th
that
generation.
PS2, GameCube, Xbox. Is the Dreamcast in that, or is that in the?
Yeah,
fifth?
yeah, it's-
I
Yeah, it is.
consider it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it
okay,
is.
Okay.
Even though it probably has more in common in terms of the library with the 5th generation, because a lot of the Dreamcast games were kind of like better PS1 or 64
In,
games. but-
in 64 ports and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that generation. It was like the 3D was kind of bad with PlayStation and 64. Then they went to PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. That was a massive jump in
But
visual
Dream-
clarity, and the
Dream-
ability to do these narrative games were way better there.
Dreamcast kicked things up to the next level. That's why I feel that it deserves to be with that because I mean, you had online, right? You had a lot of you had modern features that we see. You had stuff like although PS1 had a CD player, but like Dreamcast, you can play CDs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
HD graphics.
Yeah, I mean, you had like the VMUs. You had a bunch of cool, very industry kind of like breaking technology in the Dreamcast that to me kind of separated it from what we got before. And the graphics were far like way better. Like it was a pretty big jump when you saw certain Dreamcast games. Like when you saw Soul Calibur, everyone was like, "Okay, yo, look at this," Like that was insane when you saw Soul Calibur because it looked better than any PS1 or N64 game.
NFL 2K, NBA
Yeah.
2K.
Power Soul, baby. Power Soul.
They were great.
6
Shenmue.
and 7.
Power Stone was
Power
just
Stone. Yeah. Power Stone.
I knew he went Power Stone, but Power Stone was like when I first saw it, I was like, "What the hell is this? Like this is insane!" Like so, I feel that Dreamcast, if you're putting 6th generation, you're putting all those 4. That was hyped to have 4 systems on the market.
And we saw that original. And Microsoft showed up with Halo and that Xbox, and I think that combined with the PS2 really pushed gaming to be more of like a mature or mainstream accepted hobby at that time. Like it was a big push. That G4 was on TV in its heyday when it was actually good, and all that combined, I think, to make it so we go into the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and even Wii generation, and it was just I think off to just a fast start immediately because of that.
Yeah.
6 and 7 for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think 7 had like this great mix of like everybody. Like I think everybody was kind of like trying, like at least like they were kind of at the peak of like them trying. Where it's just like you also had Sony with their own handheld and Nintendo with the DS and Wii, and then Microsoft was really trying with the 360. Where with the 8th generation, like like Sony just kind of stopped trying with the Vita
Yeah.
after only like a couple
Yeah,
years.
which
And
sad as
then
hell.
Microsoft was pretty much like just like not really there in terms of exclusives. So, but I do feel like the quality overall of the S generation when it came to like when the big games did come out, those were
Mhm.
like really
Really
like
good.
big.
Yeah.
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 Whereas like I don't know. I would probably say 6th gen just because like it just felt like there was so much stuff just happening everywhere you looked.
You could take more of a chance then compared to now or even last generation, where the games that release full price were like weird on the PS2, and there were a lot of them coming out.
Yeah.
You don't see games like Ico or Mr. Mosquito or anything like that release anymore, especially not on the PS5 or the Xbox Series or anything.
It seemed like all systems, like all the companies were firing on all cylinders. They all had their big guns, ready to go. We got, like I said, like the Fables. We got everything. We got the multiple Halo games, Halo 1, Halo 2. I mean, Sony had tons of exclusives and tons of games. Sega Dreamcast, while it was around, had a bunch of good games as well. So it just felt like everybody was just like lit. It just felt like you couldn't even. I mean, back then, I don't know if you guys could afford I couldn't afford all the games.
Yeah, no,
So it was
No, there were just too many. You had to trade stuff in to try to get other
yeah,
stuff.
you have to trade stuff in, but it just
Yeah.
felt like it was a never-ending, supply of renting games
Yep.
and being able to play, and you had the time back then to do it too. So that was awesome.
I remember I had a buddy who used to hack original Xboxes. So every game that came out, we just
I did have
rented.
a hacked Xbox as well.
And we did a thing where you could rent a game and then install it on the hard drive and put the disc back at the store. So I remember playing, like, part of the reason I think I ended up becoming a reviewer is every game that came out, we'd all play it on the hacked Xboxes, then talk about it. So that's why we got like Phantom Dust and Cygate, the Mindgate Conspiracy, or whatever the fuck, just so many weird random games. The Rise of Onimusha, like, man, yeah, 6th gen definitely had a lot of just like figuring out 3D and then mastering 3D.
Yeah, especially when you see like that was. I'm trying to think of the last time you really get blown away with games. I feel like the PS2, when you see games like Metal Gear Solid 2, and they first showed that, and the attention to detail and all of that. It's just
You can get it with 7th gen.
It was 7th gen. Okay, what
I
was
think
there?
7th gen was the next big graphical leap.
Well, was
Because
there a game that you would go, oh yeah, that was it right there? From like,
Yes.
For me, when NBA 2K came out for the first time on 360 versus the Xbox, we had at GameStop, we had it set up on the Xbox, and we had it set up on the 360 side by side, and it was night and fucking day, and nobody cared about that Xbox. It was like, holy shit, look at this jump! Like, look at the facial animations.
like it's
look
sweat.
at the,
Yeah.
It's sweat. Yeah.
I think of Resistance 2, which is cheesy because it's just like a random first-person shooter. But when you finish the introduction, you come up out of the subway and you see like all of London on fire. And that was the first time where I played a game like on an HD TV where it was like, okay, graphics can't go back. Like we have turned a corner.
Check this out though. For me, it wasn't an HD game. It was freaking Mario Galaxy. Remember when you first saw Mario Galaxy, dude? That game was nuts. Like, you saw Mario in space, and it looked way better than any other Wii game. Just period, looked way better, and it looked sharp. It looked really good, even in 480p. So I was kind of blown away.
Like those games.
What, Mario Galaxy?
Yeah,
I
he
like
doesn't
them.
No, it has space in it. You defund Mario's space adventures.
That's fine. That's
Defund
fine.
Mario NASA.
That's fine.
No, I think Gears of War. To pick a game like Gears of War. When I first saw that, when you chainsaw a guy, that was like, yo, this is.
Plus, like Call of Duty 2, Xbox versus the next gen at that time. There was a huge jump, especially in the
Snake didn't even have a face in Metal Gear Solid, and then in Metal Gear Solid 2, he was fully featured and everything.
I think the jump was maybe a bit bigger in that from 5th gen to 6th gen. I mean, because
we're not debating it though. We're debating when was the last time there was a huge
like that
jump.
blew you away.
Like, wow,
yeah,
and that would be for a lot of people. I feel 7th gen.
7th gen.
I think 8th gen, the biggest thing that 8th gen had was definitely just all the cool, weird, artsy games like Journey. People are still talking about Journey or Last of Us. Last of Us was just pretty much an interactive movie at times, or Uncharted. I think those games exist on 7th gen, but I feel like they got
a TV show.
Yeah. I don't know. I think 8th gen really, the rise of the indie, I think, is going to be looked back on hopefully favorably if those studios still exist. That's what makes me nervous about the digital future. Is a lot of those games are digital only and they may evaporate.
You know, one thing real quick with the 8th gen, just to kind of talk about that. The 8th gen kind of pissed me off at times because remember in the 7th gen we got Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3. Then the 8th gen was literally like one main Uncharted, right? Or look at like we got Oblivion, we got Skyrim, And then the 8th gen, we got nothing else. Mass
Yeah.
Effect, we got Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. Then the 8th gen, we got.
I mean, we got more Grand Theft Autos back then too. We're
You
still
know,
waiting
I mean,
for the
we-
new Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, give me more bully.
And that's what
Bully.
kind of upset me with the 8th gen. It's like all my favorite stuff because I love Skyrim, I love Oblivion, I loved Mass Effect, I thought Uncharted was dope. All those that I really like, that I was used to getting multiple sequels, like it just stopped in the 8th gen.
Yep.
It just disappeared.
That was the biggest lie of 8th gen is before 8th gen came out, I'm sure we all remember this, but they were saying like these consoles are so easy to develop for. Games are just
Yeah.
going to be automatic.
Yeah.
And now that every developer is like, actually, it was just every game takes 5 years and 500-man teams and
Yeah.
stuff, so you get one game every decade,
Even with the 360, we got Fable 1, Fable 2, and Fable 3. All on just that one generation, and then we haven't had it since, which is just, I don't know. I guess that was my little, not little, but
Fable
issue.
3 was
That's fair.
Fable 3 was trash. I know Fable 3 wasn't that great.
Fable
but,
2 was like
I
the
mean,
best one. That was what
Fable
I really
2's
liked.
Fable
I like
1.
Fable remastered.
I don't really like Fable 1.
Did you play on the 360?
It's better on the 360. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way better.
My
on the 360.
problem with Fable 1 is the lies of Peter.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Okay,
I
I
followed the game
understand,
closely, and
Yeah.
then when it came out, I was like, this motherfucker just lied to me about everything.
I'm weird. I played all the Fable 1 I beat by myself, and then 2 and 3 I played co-op. So even though they're bad games, I have only good memories. I love those
Fable 2
games.
is good.
I like Fable
2. Fable 2 is it's a little easy, but it's good.
Mhm.
I like too.
You know.
I hated in Fable 2 and Fable 3. If you maxed out your strength and maxed out your magic, it made you fat and brawny. Like, you get lumpier and lumpier and lumpier. It's like, I'm the god of this town. Like, what?
Although
is
I do
happening?
kind of have an issue with the 6th gen because it killed Mega Man X, but that's about it.
Fair.
Okay.
Nah, you got like 8. That was okay.
It killed Mega Man
That's
X.
okay.
Yes.
It's okay. We don't need it.
Yeah. Hey, the 6th gen, you got nothing but Mega Man games. Like they had like 6 Battle Network games that came out on the
Oh,
GBA,
Yeah.
and there were multiple versions of many of them. So you ended up getting like
Sean might
10.
be right. Maybe the 5th gen was the best generation.
I don't know why they stopped. They should have just kept making Mega Man Battle Network on the 3DS. I don't know why they.
Like when I
think they
play retro
probably-
stuff, I play more 5th gen than I do 6th gen.
Really? Okay. Now, see, I go back and I'll play. Like I've been playing PS2 more now than anything.
I don't
in the
like
GameCube.
going back to the PS2. Like all the games on PS2 just feel too dark to me. Like it's hard to see a lot of the time.
Okay. Yeah, I got
Like,
I got
the
like a new
lighting in those
connector for
games.
it with the RetroTink, and it made it look a lot
Mhm.
better. I got a fan for it,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
quiet now. I'm playing it off of an SSD. Living in the future
Oh,
over
I'm
here with
just,
this PS2.
Sure had-
I'm just,
Sure had
I'm
nothing to
just
do
using
with the
some
success of the
cheap
one
ass old
PS2.
cable. It's like a Hyperkin cable or something.
You're trying to get
Okay.
as close to the original source as possible. You got to play it
Yeah,
originally.
exactly.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I usually play. I'd play on my PS3 because I had the backwards pedal on PS3, so I was playing Here Comes the Pain.
Oh, I
Played through the
bought a
campaign 3 times.
PS3. I bought a PS3 on eBay that had the NBA Elite 11 demo on it, just because I was just
Damn.
like, I gotta get that one.
The most
Nice.
expensive PS3 game.
Yeah, if
I've
I
been-
can't get that game, I'll get the
I used the
demo.
PS3
It's like 11 grand.
I use the
dude.
PS3 just to
Alright.
play PS2 games, and I think about it.
I've been super
Oh.
addicted to all those. I've been because I got the analog pocket and I set it up because now it can play Super Nintendo games and Sega Genesis games and stuff. So
All
I've been
that,
playing
yep.
a bunch of Mario hacks, and I had no idea that the Mario hack scene still exists, and people have like these like redone versions of Super Mario World that they spent like literally 10 years making, and have like all this. They have like Mario Sunshine music in there and Pikmin music or Donkey Kong Country and all these custom levels, and it's really tripping me out because it feels like these. It feels like more official crazy ass Nintendo games I've never seen or heard about. So that's my crack lately.
Yeah, I mean, what else has everybody else been playing? Jordan, what have you been playing lately?
Not too much. I recently beat the Pac-Man World repack.
Okay,
That was a
cool.
nice little stroll down memory lane. It's $30 and definitely felt that way, but it's fun. It was a fun time.
What system?
I got it for the Xbox just because I was gonna play on that one. I just felt like I wanted to play on that
Physical?
one. Yeah, I got a physical version.
Okay, cool.
There's some games like that where I'm just like, damn, that got a physical Xbox game. Like it's just like,
Yeah, so
and
I was-
Pac-Man World got that. That's wild to me.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was a good little time. I played through Last of Us Part 1, the remake version of 1, which prompted me to immediately really want to play 2 after re-experiencing 1, so I played through all of 2, which is like 3 times the length of the first game. So that was fun.
Are you starting to come around on 2? Are you starting to feel like it's
You know,
it's not that bad?
My initial feeling, now that time has passed, my initial feelings on Last of Us and Last of Us 2, when I had initially played Last of Us 2, I had not recently revisited 1. And now after playing 2 right after 1, a lot more dots seem connected, and things, while I don't agree with certain pacing in the game, just how they tell the story in 2, I think there's a better way of, because it just, at a certain point, you're like, oh, I gotta do all this now?
Yep. Yeah.
I gotta do all this now?
Shorten Abby. It would have tightened that story up.
It just wasn't paced well, and I think you could rearrange a few of the story elements to make it feel more exciting as you figure out like the big reveals throughout the game. But I can't say I disagree with what happens in the game.
Games?
Like, I don't know, someone opened a DS or a Game Boy.
It's a Game Boy. It was Game Boy Advance startup screen, baby.
Actually, it was a Retroid Pocket 2 Plus startup screen. They stole
Actually, it was funded by NASA.
No, NASA had nothing to do with this.
So mostly those. Other than that, I don't even know what like the next big thing I'm waiting for is. God of War,
Batman,
Pokemon. And
has everyone forgotten?
As Batman.
Has everyone forgotten
That's
that game's coming out? By the way, I don't see anyone talk about that game.
Oh yeah.
I have like 2% interest in playing a Batman game where you don't play as Batman.
I just want to make you aware.
Gotham Knights is not a Batman game.
But it's in universe. It's supposed to be there. It just doesn't.
Let's be real. Batman's alive at the end. Let's just be real.
Oh, no question. Not even a question. But like, I don't want to play as the same character 4 times. You know,
it's gonna be. I'm excited for it because I read a lot of Batman comics, and I'm also weird.
Oh, it's gonna be. I feel like the game's gonna be bad, but I'm still playing.
I'm excited for it. I actually am weird. I read a lot of Batman comics, and I don't like Batman in the comics. I think Batman in the comics sucks. They do them a lot better in the movies and the animated TV shows. So I'm kind of curious to see what current DC will do with a Batman-less Batman game.
Well, like Gotham Knights just kind of reminds me. Remember like the XBLA game, like Gotham City Imposters?
Yes, that game was. I actually had some fun with that game back in the day. I had some fun with that game.
That game was fun. That was a small.
It was so dumb, but it was. I don't know. I had fun with it for what it was. You go off bounce off trampoline as like an overweight Batman with like a slingshot, and it's just so strange. But that was interesting, I guess. Jordan, I will say, Jordan, I just finished downloading Grounded. So feel free to hop in on that.
Why are you playing Grounded?
It was 8 gigabytes. It took 5 minutes to download. I'll try it.
That's the Game Pass one where they're in the grass. And
Honey.
Except the game that you'll probably see. Yeah, it's the game that you'll probably see in like every Xbox presentation for the next 5 years.
No.
Here's what we've added. Now these ants have wings.
Fair fire.
We'll see. I love Game Pass, but I do feel like some of those weirdos on Twitter that worship Game Pass talk about Grounded too much.
What is coming up next? Valkyrie Elysium, you on that?
No,
I just got my code
on my list is God of War, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games. I don't know. There's really nothing.
Hold on, nothing in October? You seen October? October looks packed, dude. Mario Rabbids, Sparks of Hope.
Nope, no interest.
What?
No Bayonetta 3.
Star Ocean.
No interest. No interest.
Star Ocean's right there.
After what you guys said on the SpawnCast,
I mean, the characters are like terrifying dolls, yes, but still. Bayonetta?
I'm good with just firing up a round of Fortnite at the end of the day.
What?
You know? That's what
I've been playing, dude. I'm hooked on Fortnite right
now.
Ironically, it's great.
Fortnite. People, until you re-experience it and get back in, you can meme on it all you want, but it's genuinely fun. It's only I cannot play it alone. I have to play with a group of friends because then it's really fun. But it is a genuinely fun game.
It's so good. If you want to play sometime, Jordan.
Call of Duty. Jordan, you're going to Call of Duty. You're in Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, it's Modern Warfare.
That's end of
the
October.
last one was really cool.
You're going to play through the campaign.
Yeah, I'll play the campaign. I don't play the multiplayer.
Yeah, no one else will get on the multiplayer with me. It'll just be me on the multiplayer by myself.
I definitely won't.
I'll do the multiplayer.
I'm getting on Xbox.
Beta. Oh, in that case, have fun.
Is that why? Like, because like John, you noticed, you were like, "Hey, I see you've been playing a lot of Vanguard
Scott's
lately."
on Vanguard all the
That's,
time.
No, that's my girlfriend.
She's playing
on the Xbox in the living room. So it's just like I'm like, yeah, it's just like if you see like Power Wash Simulator, that's probably me. But,
yeah.
Hey, she wants to play. If she wants to play Modern Warfare 2, I'll be around. You can hop on.
I'll let her know. I'll let her know. She'll probably play that one. I'll
Yeah.
probably
Better
play a
than
little bit of it, like if she's playing it,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
not a
better than my
ton.
wife, man. My wife played Mortal Kombat for like 10 minutes and was like, "All right, I'm done." Never went back. She told me I bought her Mortal Kombat. I bought her everything she needs. She played it. She's like, "Oh, that's cool." Then walked away. Like literally
Yeah.
never went back.
She's into she got really into like Skyrim for like a couple days because she was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna get into this now. She downloaded like a lot of mods on the Xbox version. Now she's gone back into Animal Crossing, but she was into like Call of Duty for a little bit. It's kind of here and there, but with me, like I have not had time to sit down and actually play. Like I have played about like 2.5 hours of Splatoon 3 overall
Nice.
since it launched,
Yeah.
which I'm just like, God damn. And I want to at least try Xenoblade 3. I do
Ooh,
have it.
interesting.
I want to try it, but I also want to finish up Live Alive because I really enjoyed my time with that, like from what I played, like the couple hours I played.
Game of the
And I
year.
feel like that's probably pretty easy to just blast right through.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do like
I
an
feel
episode
like-
a night, basically. Just be like, I'm gonna do one a
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like about it. Like the fact that it does not feel daunting. It's just genuinely like, oh, like I just blasted through the present day chapter, and then I just went right through the Western one, and I think I started up like the prehistoric one, but it just felt very consumable. It felt very just easy to just digest, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do want to get through that. But I don't know. This year has felt really weird in terms of games. It's just game releases. Like it feels like it's like there's a ton that come out, and like there's just one little batch, and then it's pretty much dead for everything in the middle. And then at the very end, now we're getting like Ragnarok and Bayonetta 3 and Pokemon and all
Yeah,
that.
it's gonna be a month time, 30 days, end of October, second half of October, all the way until like the third week in November, where it's just I think like 8 or 9 games that are pretty good are coming out. So there's a time period there where it's gonna be pretty packed.
I
Well,
gotta
it's weird
review all of
because-
them.
Well, it's weird because after Ragnarok, we don't know like what's coming out on PlayStation
From
after
Sony's
that.
first
Like,
parties, I mean, all we
Oh,
know
yeah.
about is Spider-Man 2, but we don't know much else other than the trailer,
Yeah.
the little trailer they showed.
yeah.
Well, so that's when Square Enix steps in because in December we're gonna have Final Fantasy Reunion, which is on everything. January is Forspoken, which is gonna be a wet turd on the pavement, and then we're gonna have Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2.
There will be a new trailer for 16 in october, by the way. Did you see
Yep.
that?
Yes.
So-
yeah.
Okay, so there's gonna be that. Then there was talks about there being a Spider-Man 2 update in October.
Well, we can't talk about news. We can't talk about news.
And then
This
we
is in the
find
future.
out that there's some Silent Hill thing that got rated. It seems like a
Yeah.
lot of Sony stuff all of a sudden in October.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I have become very disinterested, and I mean, like, I'll still play the Sony released games this generation, but I have just become more and more disinterested with what they're releasing because it just feels very predictable, and it just kind of feels like, okay, another one. Like, I know Spider-Man 2 is going to be awesome. It's going to be super fun, but it's just like, I'm like, yeah, it's another one, and like, I do feel like when they kind of shuttered Japan Studio, like that just kind of felt like what the direction they're going in, where they just want every single thing they release to be these huge blockbusters.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, because they're doing that, like I've just found myself a lot more disinterested in what they're doing this generation. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I feel
no.
like it's probably gonna bite them in the ass eventually.
Dude,
'cause, like
I
games are
I
gonna
feel
cost
you.
way too much money to make, and they
Yeah,
can't make them fast enough.
Yeah, man. I feel you on that one, especially with the Japan studio thing, because that's like I don't know, that feels like turning your back on like your family member or something. I don't know. It feels like, because like it's their first studio, it's their first ever
Yeah.
studio. That was their first one. That's how they got started. That's how they and then you shut them down, and then they try to make it seem like, oh well, yeah, they went to Team Asobi. No, they didn't. Most of them left to different companies or got laid off, or I mean, barely anybody went. Team Asobi's tiny, and they're not going to be making the type of games that they made there. And they didn't treat them fairly. I don't think that they gave Gravity Rush, and they didn't give the games that they made enough marketing or anything. And I don't know. I just feel like it just basically did them dirty. That's kind of how I feel. Like did them kind of dirty with the way that it went down. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Scott. I think that losing some of that charm, I think there was a video. What was it? Good Vibe Games. He talked about it recently that I watched, and a lot of them went to go work for Nintendo.
Yeah.
or went to, or started up their own studio and stuff like that, which makes sense considering the type of games they make. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, it sucks getting an announcement for a Gravity Rush movie, and there's like, oh, well, what about the game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just really strange to me. Do you think it's gonna be kind of like just like it might be like an anime movie on like this just only releases on like Netflix or something? Like I don't know. Like
I have no
that's
idea.
that's the way I could imagine it kind of working, but it's also like I have no idea. If you're not gonna use your IP elsewhere, like they shut down the Gravity Rush 2 servers. They're pretty
Yeah.
much Team Gravity disbanded, or they're just a different company now, but still. But then you're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna do a Gravity Rush movie. Like I don't
Well,
get it.
I
It's
think
very strange.
I love what Sony's doing, and looking at their sales numbers, a lot of their projects have long tails, so clearly this higher expense to development is paying off. But my problem is what y'all are talking about, which is that I kind of wish they'd do some double A stuff. I wish we got some sort of like, give me a different SOCOM, or bring back Guerrilla Games' other project, show me Killzone or something. I don't know. It's weird that they have like, all right, God of War is fantastic. I absolutely love that. I think Ragnarok is going to kill it. But then it's just like this big gap. Like, all right, Horizon, that's great. All right, now another big gap. Like Gran Turismo, okay, another big gap.
They're trying to use like the indie developers to kind of push that, like, like Sifu. They try to make, oh, well, you can only play it on PlayStation, right? Like for console, or like what was that game? Kenna.
Yeah,
Kenna.
Bridge of
So,
Spirits.
Valkyrie Elysium's
yeah.
only on the PlayStation.
Yeah, Valkyrie Elysium. Like, so they're I think they're trying to fill it with certain third-party games. It's just, but it doesn't feel authentic because it's not the IPs that they have that people have, played, and they want to see new ideas and things from. So like a Sly Cooper or something like that, or Jack and Daxter.
Yeah. Would people rather have like smaller games that take 3 years to make, or big Horizon Forbidden West God of War games take 6 years to make?
I mean, both.
Yeah, I want a little bit of both. I
Yeah.
really loved Sony's lineup during the PS3 era of just, it felt like they kind of had that good balance of like, we're gonna have a bunch of those kind of bigger games, the Uncharted's, Resistance, Killzone, Last of Us. But in addition to that, we got stuff like Puppeteer.
I knew you were going to say Puppeteer. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like,
Folklore, Puppeteer, there was all sorts of good stuff.
they had a lot of their studios work on like these dumb PlayStation Move games, but it's just like, hey, it's just other stuff, and like I just don't really think we really have that kind of quantity and quality kind of balance that we've had since the PS3 era. I mean, PS4 got really good in terms of just like good quality big games releasing from Sony, but I don't know. This generation so far, I mean, like everybody's in agreement. It's been a little strange. I mean, we're already 2 years in,
Yeah.
and it's still kind of like that feeling where it doesn't really have that genuine kind of feel of like, oh yeah, this is next gen. I don't really know if I had an experience like that yet.
A cross gen is just is kind of muddying that up right now, because even Sony's first parties, usually they just move right to the new hardware, but we have Horizon, God of War, Gran Turismo, all these games are still on like last gen technically in this gen.
But even when there isn't cross gen, it doesn't really feel like it's anything. Like Ratchet and Clank is great, but did you feel as
if
it
I
was
compare Ratchet and Clank to Horizon, Ratchet and Clank feels like a game that just had a smaller budget, obviously. So I'm kind of waiting for that Horizon game that's only PlayStation 5, or that Last of Us game that's only like those titles that have hundreds of millions of dollars dumped into them, and it's just PS5.
Well, that's going to be
like,
a while before we get that.
Well, I kind of feel like that's Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 is only going to be PS5. That's going to have I think, a massive budget behind it because it's Spider-Man, and it's proven it's sold the two they've released, or Miles Morales that they've released, sold over 30 million copies. So they're obviously like, okay, this is going to do well. Let's make it really good. That's I think the game I have lined up right now where I'm like, I think that's going to be that aha moment for next gen, or this gen.
My favorite game so far. Sorry. Real quick. My favorite game so far has been Returnal on PlayStation 5, and that feels the most like maybe what they would have done in the PS3.
I don't think that game would have worked on I think that's a game that had to be this gen, because like when you die, you got to restart immediately. Whereas if you died on the PS4, I bet you there would have been just a loading screen you had to sit through or something. So I think that works really well with the PS5 specifically.
Did I cut you off, Jordan? My bad.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I thought I cut Jordan off. My bad.
Do you think as we get more into this generation, we're gonna see a significant decrease in the the crack in the wall moments where it's just like, let's say in like FF7 remake or something, there's that moment where a moment that always shows up where it's just like, oh, there's a crack in the wall, and then the camera shifts and you have to like move through it
I
like
think
that.
so. I think so. Yeah. Or in 7, you'll be running and then you just all of a sudden have to walk for some reason for like 10 seconds, and then you start running again.
Remember Gears of War 3 did that where it forced you to get a phone call, and I remember it did that in this one level. You're running through a ship on fire and headquarters calls you and it forces you to walk like, oh, what's that? Oh, we have to. It's like, run! Oh my god, you're killing the moment.
I think that, and you'll see one of the big upgrades, remember, for Ghost of Tsushima is they were able to do a lot of the lip syncing in real time rather than have to do almost like a predetermined cinematic. So I think overall you'll see those aspects start to go away, where you got to sidle through areas, and the narrative side being more streamlined. So that's kind of my hope, is that they take advantage of the extra hardware in places we don't even really think of, but we would notice if they didn't invest in it.
Well, to send us out here, I have an idea for a topic. When Jordan was saying what he was playing was pretty much nothing but remakes, I had the idea of like just kind of like thinking of discussing like best and worst remakes in games. What do you guys think? Or just favorite or least favorite?
Interesting.
Well, right off the bat, I'm just gonna say it: Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Those
makes sense. Yeah,
those are
great.
pretty good. Those are pretty good. Just I think a lot of games try to. I've been seeing a lot of remakes of like games from that 5th, 6th generation era try to kind of recapture that feeling of like, hey, we're just gonna go in and remodel everything, but they just do not have the amount of care and polish put into like that game. Like I think like the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, I felt like that's what they were trying to go for, but they just didn't have like the budget or time to do it. You can kind of see it, kind of like, it's a little glitchier, like unpolished, but yeah, I think that one is definitely like up there.
I gotta go with Tony Hawk, mostly because not only is that
I was gonna
collection
go Tony Hawk.
good,
That's a good one.
the biggest thing is you giving all the mechanics that existed in Tony Hawk 2 that make it better and retroactively putting them into Tony Hawk 1 with new objectives. Not only is it a good remake, it like retroactively almost makes my memories better of the first game, because I'm like, wow, I literally respect this design so much more playing these levels again now.
And that is a really good remake, 'cause they play into the fourth wall breaking, where when your character falls, they kind of rewind, like you're sort of remembering what's happening, rather than just, oh, this is all real, or like trying to be as realistic. They play into the idea of this is like back in the day. You're kind of going through your memory right now, so we just kind of rewind them backwards, like you're going through that. So that I do like that remake a lot. I thought you were going to say RE2 though.
All right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I want to cheat. Yeah, you take.
I'll take Tony Hawk.
RE2.
Okay.
I just take RE2. I recently platinumed RE2, and man, the design in that, man.
Is it complete remake? Are you guys talking complete remakes, or are we talking like remasters that are really well done as well?
It's your discretion. Your discretion.
We could throw in whatever you feel fits the description.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition is quite possibly the greatest thing I've ever played.
Yeah, that is a really good package.
A good package for $60. Everything's included. It runs better. It looks better. It's the way that Mass Effect's supposed to be played. I played it on the Xbox Series X, the best frame on my LG CX, and I was just blown away. I blew through all 3 of those games, 300 plus hours, and I was like, "Oh, it's done." Oh man, okay. Well, let's just wait for the next Mass Effect. And then you went and tried to
play Andromeda, and you went, "Oh, yeah."
Well, I already played and beat Andromeda. And that game sucks no matter what frame rate it runs at. I've tried it on the PC at really nice frame rate, and it still sucks.
Yeah,
it's still bad no matter what way you do it. I mean, the gameplay in Mass Effect Andromeda is solid. It's okay at times. At times it's solid. The Mako stuff, that stuff's terrible. It's not very good, but the combat's good. But Mass Effect 1 through 3 is the remastered is just awesome. Legendary Edition is just so. And I was surprised that it's EA, and I'm like, wow, EA did okay. Well, they've got something at least. I mean, this is incredible. So yeah, I'd have to pick that if I had to pick one.
Hit us with it, Sean.
I don't know.
Oh.
Say Resident Evil 2.
I thought you were going to say something from like that was remade in the PS2 era or some weird thing.
Sean,
like that.
Mafia. You loved the Mafia Definitive Edition?
That one was really good. I did like that too. That was good.
I feel like I haven't played it enough though. I've only played like an hour.
Or so of it. That's a good game too. You got to go
what
play
a
that.
fake
dude.
fan.
I know it's short too. I never.
It's
said
not
I was
very
a
long,
Huge
yeah.
Mafia fan.
We were all playing it back then,
Um,
and I don't know what you were doing. You were doing something. We were all sitting there talking about it, and you're just like,
He's writing his 32X books
Uh,
probably.
Nights into Dreams on Steam was very beautiful.
you're gonna be telling us about The Boys like 6 years from now. You gotta see the show. It's amazing.
I'll go with Nights on Steam.
Okay. What's the worst remake?
There's 13. On
Oh, I was
Nintendo
gonna say
on
13.
there.
That was so bad and embarrassing that they had to hire a whole nother
Yeah.
studio to redo it.
Was that
Again,
Rocket
like-
Knight thing technically a remake?
I'll give you a remake on that one. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Fucking piece of shit.
not Turtles
War-
Reshelled.
I'm
No,
going.
I'll go with. Yeah.
Sorry, go Sean.
No, you go.
Warcraft 3 Reforged. That game was 100%. They lied in the
Oh,
marketing.
man.
They claimed they're going to be redoing all the cutscenes. They ended up putting in all these auto ban keywords into the custom games. So one of the locations in Warcraft is Booty Bay, but if you put Booty Bay in the title of like Booty Bay Pirates, it would auto ban you and stuff. Oh yeah, I'm putting Warcraft 3 as worst remake.
Damn. What about you, Jordan? What do you think? What are you thinking?
I think what remake that we played that was like really bad? Nothing's really coming to mind like initially.
I gotta look it up here.
Yeah, we
gotta-
gotta.
I Google.
Everyone's just looking for the broken ones. Like what's busted?
Because usually when you play a remake, it's usually like, oh, I'm looking forward to this because I played it back then and it was good. Now that they're gonna bring it back, usually they don't. So it's hard to find.
I just think it's lame to just kind of like it's just like, oh, the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition. Like I'm like, yeah, like okay, like, just like I don't know what else there's to say.
I don't
about
know.
that
Sean
one.
making fun of Jedi Outcast over here. Absolute classic.
Game
You
sucks.
can't make fun. No.
Literally one of the worst things I've ever played.
What? No, Jedi Outcast is good.
GoldenEye 007 Reloaded or GoldenEye 007?
No. That's a good game. I love GoldenEye
I
on
found it
Wii.
on a list.
I love that game on Wii.
I like
The
the Wii
360
version. Yeah.
Yeah, the 360 and PS3 versions aren't as like. I mean, like that game is good on Wii because like it was made for Wii, so it's just really impressive, and it's like, oh man, this is like a Call of Duty quality shooter on Wii. But
they're
when you put it
particularly
on-
they're particularly talking about the 360 and PS3 version though. They're not mentioning the Wii.
I-
They're saying no, we're not talking about that.
I see fake fans all over the place with that game. I think they think that was like supposed to be like. I think people look at like, oh, GoldenEye 007 Reloaded on 360. Oh, that must mean it's a remake of the N64 game, but it's a port of the Wii one. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
On 360 and PS3, it's just not as like neat because it's not on Wii. I think that game was designed around the limitations of the Wii. But, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. I think Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop. That's just a demake.
Yeah,
That's
that's like a port. It's
That's
not
a
a
port.
remake,
That's
is
a
it?
port. That doesn't.
But yeah,
count.
that was on a list that
I
I
think-
saw too, but I didn't know.
No
that.
no one said Final Fantasy VII remake for either good or bad. Okay, interesting.
I like it.
That's
I want
not
it to
a
be done.
remake. I don't.
Like
know.
a whole new game. Yeah,
I'm gonna
sequel.
read the title again. Final
That's a
Fantasy
recap.
VII remake.
But we now know that's a
Retelling.
lie. It's remaking the timeline, not remaking the game.
Yeah.
Square Enix must have watched Scott's video on this because they even sometimes don't know. They're like, "What about Final Fantasy VII? Or Crisis Core?" They're like, "Well, I thought it was a remake, but it's kind of like a remaster, so we just called it remaster."
Yeah.
Like they weren't
it's-
even sure what to call it. They didn't even
Yeah,
know.
they just called it Reunion. They're just like,
Yeah. They like in the interview they were like, "Oh well, it's kind of like a remake because we remade a ton of shit in the game,
Yeah.
but the
Oh.
story's the same."
Scott, have you played Crisis Core before?
No.
Oh, I think you would like it.
I've been getting more into like the PSP and PS Vita this year. I've been enjoying kind of going back and trying out stuff on the Vita. I have pretty much like most of like the core like North American like big boy games that you'd want to get. Not the super expensive whatever like more niche games that release like later in its life, but I have most of like the major like North American things that like Sony published and all that. And it's just really fun to go back to and just kind of see stuff where it's just like I played like Golden Abyss on there and Killzone and all of that and it's just a really interesting a really interesting era
Well,
that
provided
you know, kinda skipped
Reunion isn't
over.
just
But
broken on release, you should pick
yeah.
that up and try it. See what you think. Crisis Core has a fun story to it. I think it's very good.
Does it feel very limited by being on the PSP? Does it feel
No.
like it should have been on the PS2 or something? Or...
It feels big. I like it.
It does. It did feel larger than what the PSP should have been able to handle at the time. I think now if I fired up an emulator, I'd be like, "Ooh, you can see all the pixels and stuff." But from what they've shown from this Reunion, it looks like they spent a bit of time on this one. So I think it's going to be one to pick up and have for the collection. And then I'm going to probably get it on the Switch and the PlayStation 5.
You wild man.
It should be interesting on Switch. It's looking. It looks. You know, it's obviously not as good looking as like FF7 Remake, but it looks like at least like comparable in some ways. You know, like it looks very visually impressive. But I don't know. Even going back to the PSP and PS Vita, like just playing games of that quality on like those devices is still weirdly really cool. Like I've been trying out the Grand Theft Auto games on PSP, and those are still very impressive for being PSP games. You know,
Dude, I love Vice City Stories, man. I love Vice City Stories. The fact that you not only get to have a full game, but the whole Empire system where you buy property and level it up. It's like, this is huge.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff where I'm just looking over at the shelf. There's just a ton of just random stuff. Do you know Dante's Inferno got a PSP version?
I beat it on PSP.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I did not know about that at all.
The best version of Final Fantasy IV ever released is on PSP. It's called the Complete Collection. They redid every single sprite with hand-drawn art. It looks fantastic. They did a retranslation of it that's more accurate to the emotion.
Even the wrestling games are actually pretty good on the PSP. You play those, Sean?
Oh yeah,
those wrestling games were pretty good because I was really into the PS2 and the GameCube wrestling games, and that was like kind of played like them, but it was handheld. It was pretty cool. The PSP was like surprising at times. You'd get a game from and be like, "Oh, this is just the console version."
Yeah, and then I think eventually I saw somebody say like they would kind of just end up porting like DS versions of games instead, like near the end of its life when they were just kind of like, let's just like I saw like apparently the Lego games did that. Like I never played any of the Lego games on PSP.
Chinatown Wars.
Yeah, where they would just kind of give you the DS version of a game on PSP, which just felt wrong. Like it just kind of felt like it went against everything that the PSP was meant to be. They're just like, hey, you just get the handheld version. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys all for coming over today and just talking for like an hour. Thank you all. To close us out, you know, you can we can go through everybody. I need to get good at you know, being a makeshift host for the SpawnCast. Let me see. John, where can everybody go and find you?
You can find me on SpawnWave on YouTube. And hey, at this point, people have heard this. Congratulations on the launch of your cards. So I think they'll be really cool when all that releases, and they're be a lot of fun.
They got finished in like 2 weeks. I learned that we could do them in 2 weeks, so I frantically ran around and got those done. So they're done, but I just have to do the videos now. So, but thank you very much, Sean. Where can people find you?
Find me in NASA's live streams, yelling at them to defund them.
No, you got banned.
You're
not anymore.
Not anymore.
I'll make burns. Well, I could go on the live stream channel.
Make burns on the computer that they work to research and develop. All right.
Find me on RGT85 on all forms of the internet, and yeah.
Sounds good. OJ, where can people find you?
Find me on YouTube, PlayerEssence. I cover Nintendo, Switch, and RPGs a lot, and I live stream as well. So I'm pretty much have new content every single day. So you can find me right there. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Jordan, where can people find you?
You can find me on either Jordan Fringe on YouTube or Jordan Fringe Gaming, where I talk about either cartoons on one channel or gaming on the other. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. And then Max, where can people find you?
World's biggest God of War fan. Just youtube.com/DreamcastGuy.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for showing up to this. I don't know how to end these things. Does anybody else? Does anybody have any closing?
Keep dreaming.
Yeah, do that or think for yourself. Question authority. Right?
Yeah, those are pretty much the two go-tos.
Yeah. Let me know what whoever's listening to this. Let me know. Tell me on Twitter what card number we were.